because I would love to. I put it up on YouTube and then have it on our website. So if you don't want to be visible, you can just click up and make your video, turn your video off. And you all are muted now, and I was already mentioning that you can go down to the bottom and click on the chat and the box will open. And so you can make comments and questions, and we'll answer all the questions at the end after we go through the tasting. But it's my pleasure to introduce Andrew Tomassini, who is the Estate Sales Director for Westwood Estate Winery. There he is, looking much dapper than me in my, I'm like, it's summertime. So Westwood is actually one of Philippe Melka's newest consulting wineries. Parallel has been with Philippe Melka for its entire existence for 21 years, so it's really fun. It's really fun why I invited him to join today. Just sharing the same winemaker, but we've been with him for a very long time, and Westwood just bringing on Philippe more recently. So, and the Sonoma Valley, Napa Valley kind of connection too, to be on both sides of the Maya Camus. So, welcome, Andrew. So you're in your downtown salon in Sonoma. Is that where you're tasting from today?
That's right. That's right. We're fortunate enough as an essential business here in California to still have our tasting salon available to us to be able to utilize to host virtual tastings like this, and also provide wine for pickup for our local members who would like to swing by the tasting room to get something to be able to enjoy from home.
Great. Yeah, I was mentioning to Frank and Sandy early on that I am actually we make our wine, and I do hospitality at Brasswood, which is a beautiful property that Westwood is going to be availing itself of once it opens back up in St. Helena. And so I don't have access to a winery space right now, so I've turned my home office into a virtual tasting room space where I brought in some parallel boxes. We'll talk a little bit later, but Parallel refers to skiing. So the scene behind me is actually a ski mountain resort in Deer Valley in Park City, where my owners live. So that's my I don't have a living wall behind me in a beautiful salon, but turning in my home office into a virtual tasting room. So
it looks very warm. And
yeah.
Like the ambiance there with the snow. I wish I was there. You could almost smell the campfire.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's 80 degrees like on the other side. So we had originally said, we should taste the Chardonnay first. So if you want to introduce, this is your 2018 Roberts Road Chardonnay, and
so this is our brand new release, 2018 Sam Giacomo Chardonnay, grown over on Roberts Road in the Petaluma Gap. It's a very fresh wine. I mean, brand new release, so it has beautiful fruit forward characteristics that are kind of jumping out of the glass. With the cool climate that this vineyard has, we have a pretty extended growing season, right? It's kind of just south slope facing, pretty close to where the San Pablo Bay inlets into Sonoma County. And for what we have on it, and I think this is kind of classic Philippe Melka consistency, a little bit more of a, I would say, crisp finish to the Chardonnay. It's not a heavily oaked wine. It does see quite a bit of new oak, about 30% new, but you can't really taste the butteriness or that huge kind of oaky characteristic that is typical sometimes in Chardonnays coming out of Sonoma County.
Yeah, it's really light and bright. It has a little bit of creaminess to it. So I compare it to, Philippe Melka, for those of you who are not familiar, was born, trained, and raised in Bordeaux. And so he doesn't actually make a lot of Chardonnays. Of course, here in Napa Valley and the Sonoma Valley, doing a lot of big reds. But he makes a handful of Chardonnays, and we do make a Chardonnay. Our 2018 actually just released early this week, and it's sold out. But I'm really curious, I was really, really curious to see, I had only tasted, one or two other Philippe Melka Chardonnays, and they're very similar. He loves this lighter, crisper style, which I think is absolutely delicious. Yours has a little bit more, and of course, the agriculture, where the grapes are grown, are going to really change with that too. But I think you can still see that beautiful, crisp style. But there's a little bit of creme brulee. There's a little bit of creaminess to this, a little bit more than the Parallel Chardonnay. but it's absolutely delicious. Still super bright, summery, like we were talking earlier, like sort of you popping it open as like your starter wine in the summertime. It's just that light and crisp, like, instead of Sauvignon Blanc or Rosé, like this is a perfect starter wine, even though, people might not think, oh, Chardonnay is going to be too heavy. Not at all.
No, it's like a perfect cocktail hour wine. So whether that's 5 p.m. for you or 3 p.m. right now.
Whenever you.
PM works too.
Yeah.
But it's a fun Chardonnay that I would say since we've opened it and it's been in the glass, it's been singing, since being able to get into it.
Really, really lovely. So how many cases of this did you produce?
So we haven't been able to keep enough of this wine in stock
the last
few years. Yeah, no, it's something that sold out rather dramatically for us in the past. Fortunately enough, with the fantastic 2018 growing season, there was some extra fruit available to us, so we were able to produce a little bit more for the 2018 vintage. Hopefully, be able to supply our club members a little bit longer than just a few months that we've had it before in the past. So total case production, we do about 600 cases overall.
That's like parallels whole production.
If you're familiar with the San Giacomo vineyard, there is quite a bit of fruit available over there. And I would say for winemakers and wineries that are able to get their fruit, 600 cases I know is a very small percentage.
It is.
Yeah. Sourced from their vineyards over there.
It is tiny, but that's parallels whole annual production, 600 cases. So we just did a 2018 Chardonnay, which we typically will source from Russian River, except for this only for the 2018 year did we source from Napa Valley to commemorate our very first vintage of Chardonnay, which came from Napa Valley back in 2007, when it came from Ball Mountain. But so on the Sangiacomo side, which similarly very, very crisp, and similarly we only made 100 cases. We can't keep it, can't keep stock of it. It just, I think it's really because of the Philippe Melka style Chardonnay. It's just it's so different. It's not buttery. It's not over oaked. It's really delicate. It's really bright. It's really clean. And people just who think that they don't like Chardonnay are really pleasantly surprised when they drink these Chardonnays and think, oh my gosh, I love Chardonnay. I didn't know. Right. And so they're just, they're thinking they're not going to buy any Chardonnay, and then they go home with like 6 or 12 bottles. And
I love being able to change people's minds that way. Especially when not all wine is created equal, and obviously the person who is crafting this wonderful beverage for us, it definitely matters with how you take care of it and treat the fruit that's coming in.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so and this is your current release, and then we're ready to move on to Cab.
All right.
This is actually our current release. So we just released our Chardonnay less than a week ago, but it's all gone. So I thought I would pull out our this is our 2017 Napa Valley Cabernet. This is our current release Cabernet, which we released in February, and another reason picking this was that Westwood does not make it 100% Cabernet. So all of the varietals for Parallel are 100% varietals, so 100% Chardonnay, 100% Cabernet. This is 2017. I was really, really surprised when we released it in February how drinkable it was for its youth. But this style of Cabernet, we make 2 Napa Valley Cabernets, and our Reserve Cab tends to be that bigger, bolder style of Cabernet, where this one is more medium bodied. So for those people who like Pinot Noir, Merlot, lighter style reds, this is really made for them. It's very, 2007, it's young, it's vibrant, it's energetic. To me, it's really like exploding with a lot of red fruit. Very smooth, very food friendly. A lot of times, people will be enjoying, I call it dangerously delicious, just because it's really, really easy to drink. The tannins are very light, even for a 17. And we are doing, as I just mentioned, 100% varietals, but it's a Napa Valley Cabernet, so we're sourcing from multiple properties. For the 17, the fruit is coming from Rutherford and Oakville. just two properties really on either side of Skellinger Road. They're right across the street from each other, but technically in two different ADAs. So yeah, I mean, there's just so much explosive like berries on this. It's just really, really delightful. Just uncomplicated.
Yeah, no, I think it really kind of captures the essence of what Cabernet Sauvignon is. You have the kind of heavy cassis, like dark red fruit, as you were saying, but it also kind of has that light pyrazine characteristic that is only found in Bordeaux. And I mean, I know that some people kind of find that could be an acquired taste, but for what I find in Cab, I mean, this is, I think, one of the most phenomenal smelling Cabernets that I've had recently.
Yeah, it's just really, it's dangerously delicious. It's very, very easy to drink. And so just so for those of you who are not familiar, or Westwood fans are not familiar with Parallel, we started just quickly 21 years ago. Parallel refers to skiing. Even if you wanted to see the label on this bottle, even that label is meant to look like skis cutting through the first run of the day. That's why I have the ski theme behind me, which is a scene from Park City, Utah, where my owners live. It's four couples who started as a winery, came to Napa Valley in 1999, and went home with 60 acres of property and thought they started a winery. So Cabernet was the first vintage we started back in 2003 with this Cabernet in particular. So we have now, 14, 15 vintages, all with Philippe. So go back to the 2003, just absolutely delicious. I mean, it's just a testament to his winemaking skill is just, and the team that he's built now.
Yeah, and I think that's where you talk about the team that the Philippe Melka team has curated. They definitely emphasize on their fruit sourcing locations, and also being able to have the ability to manage and call the shots and how the vineyard is going to be treated, which is something that's pretty unique for winemakers to be able to have, especially when you're sourcing fruit from other locations. I mean, to have the control, and I think that they're able to execute that because of their great relationships that they have with the vineyard managers and grape growers of the area.
Oh, just lost you there for a second. Oh, not sure. I think I'm frozen too. Oh, you back? I lost you there for a second.
Sorry, I might have dropped off. Hopefully.
No, I think you're back. We just lost you there for a second.
Oh, perfect.
Sorry, you were, and I'm not sure if everybody got caught off there for a second when you were talking about Cabernet, but.
Yeah, no, and it's just, I think for what you have with it, talking about the sourcing for the vineyards that the Philippe Melka team is producing from, I kind of think it holds to the testament that they truly believe that, you know, world-class wine starts at the vine.
Yeah.
And it very much, you know, is dependent on how you treat the land and the earth that you're farming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we were really excited. Philippe Melka wines tend to get in the 90s with their ratings. And so this was both, this Cabernet was 92 points, both in Wine Advocate and Wine Enthusiast. So we were pretty excited about that. Of course, we're always using French oak, but get that lighter structure, lighter body, this only has 40% new French oak. So just giving it, you know, a little bit, but I think that's what makes this particular Cabernet so drinkable, so young, is that it's not heavily oaked with a lot of new oak. So, and yeah, 17, I mean, obviously we all had in that Napa Valley and Silver Valley, very tough harvest year in 17, but you know, our grapes, 90% of the grapes in Napa Valley, more than 90% of the grapes, I think, in Napa Valley had been harvested then. So we were very, very fortunate in that regard for 17. So I'm very excited. We released our reserve Cabernet the 17 this fall. So I haven't wet and bottle, and it's been kind of chilling out for a number of months. So I'll be really curious when we get to taste that closer to October.
I'll be excited for that. You'll most definitely have to. I'm on your email list, but please let me know when it comes out.
Yeah. So I see there's a couple of questions popping up I do want to get to. So we talked about in all of our email communication for this that we're going to put together a combo offer of these two wines. So I will send an email out following this to everybody that's RSVP'd, and you can feel free to send that on to friends who weren't able to join. But we're going to put it together a 4-pack, 2 Chardonnay and 2 Cabernet for $330, a 6-pack of 3 bottles each for $4.95, and then a case, 6 bottles each for $9.90, which is fabulous to be able to get a piece of these Sonoma Valley, Napa Valley wines for under $1,000. For the 6-pack, we'll do $15 flat ground shipping, and case purchases are just $1 to ship. Again, I will send out an email. You don't have to remember all of this, but I will send out an email afterwards to everybody that has all that detail, and then you can just email me back. I'll be taking all the orders, and then Andrew and I will have the fun logistic jobs of getting all the wines to you all this week, which shouldn't be that challenging. You can also, I think both of these bottles are up for sale on our website. So if you just wanted to buy them separately, you can go to parallelwines.com or Westwood Wine. Is it wines or wine? Westwood Wine?
Westwoodwine.com. You got it.
I'm plural. Parallel Wines, plural, but you go to westwoodwine.com and just buy the bottles separately. So looks like there's just a few questions here on the chat. Frank is asking you, Andrew, is the Chardonnay partly stainless? Are you aging in any stainless, or is it all oak?
No, 100% French oak, and that sees 30% new. So the rest of the French oak that the Chardonnay would be aged in would just be neutral French oak barrels that have been used for 3 or more years previous to that.
Oh, so do you use any? So our Chardonnay is actually oaked in French oak puncheons, aged in puncheons. Do you all utilize that larger size format barrel?
Yeah, the 90-gallon puncheons over the regular standard 60-gallon barrels. It seems like the Melka team they prefer to use those larger volume barrel sizes, and it's actually better for the wine because with the larger barrel sizes, you allow less oxygen to come in contact with the wine during its barrel aging process.
Yeah, I think we do that too, and I think, similarly, more neutral oak, always French, of course, but more neutral oak to really impart a little bit of that flavor, but not overpower it, and which leaves that beautiful, delicate body and finish to it. So, let's see, the cost of the Cabernet. So this Cabernet is $110 per bottle. Our current release is back in library. They're $140, but which is I think Andrew and I were talking. And if you look across the, 30 wineries that Philippe Melka consults for now across, globally at this point, but mostly in Sonoma and Napa Valley. The 110 price point for his Cabernet is extremely reasonable when you look at, and something that's this young, that's this drinkable, but still, could age 10 to 15 years if you have the patience to hang on to it.
I think most definitely you find wineries in the Melka portfolio for the style that's coming out where I think they most definitely overachieve for the price point. Yeah,
absolutely. And then a question about Alicia's asking, what restaurants in LA carry your wine? So I don't know, where do you distribute, Andrew?
So we have a very small distribution throughout California. I know you can find us in K&L Wines down in Los Angeles specifically. And we're in K&L throughout the rest of California. But I don't have any.
Is that just certain wines, or you?
Yes, just certain wines. So a small amount of the Chardonnay will make it out to restaurants, as well as we have 2 new releases that make it out to restaurants and small boutique wine shops in the United States, just a few separate states. But it would be our Sam Giacomo Chardonnay, our 2017 Sonoma County Pinot Noir, as well as our 2017 Westwood Legend. And the Westwood Legend was curated a couple of years ago in the union of Westwood and Philippe Melka. It's kind of the flag in the hill, as you say, to announce Philippe becoming our winemaker. And it's a blend of 50% Rhone varietals from our estate, Syrah, Grenache, and Mourvedre, as well as roughly 50 to 55% Cabernet Sauvignon year after year, because obviously Philippe, I think, is one of the most respected winemakers when it comes to Cabernet Sauvignon in the world. So that was our way to kind of produce a blend that kind of celebrated the union between ourselves and Philippe and the LTA Melka winemaking team. And so those wines, like you can find them, I would say, sparsely distributed, but it would be much easier for you, I'm sure, to find the wines if you reached out to us personally.
Yeah. And so Alicia has a follow-up question about who your distributor in LA is.
Well, so if you reach out to us directly, we have our own distributor sales team, Victoria Ash, and she'd be able to get you in contact with anyone who has our wine.
Yeah, as far as parallel, I mean, we are 600 cases is our total production of 3 wines, so we don't do a lot of distribution just because just having enough for the tasting room and the wine club. However, all my owners live in Park City, Utah, and the only way you can get wine into the state of Utah legally is through the state's liquor store. So we actually are only distributing this particular Cabernet to them in small quantities, but we just don't have enough Chardonnay or Reserve Cab to distribute. So the only way to get parallel really is, okay, you can be in Park City, you can be anywhere in Utah, or you can buy directly from the winery. those are the choices. And then Carl's asking, how should we think about ageability of these wines? And I'd be curious to see what you have to say about that, Andrew, just because I've had some experience with older Philippe Melka Chardonnays that Parallel has had. So I'd be curious your thoughts on the ageability of your Chardonnay if you've had older vintages.
So Chardonnay in general is one of the few whites that can stand up to a little bit of time, right? I mean, there's a saying that I have heard in this business, however, that I learned very early is a wine is always better on its way up than on its way down. So I would say, drink it now, drink it tomorrow, right? Like I can get you more because we're planning on making more. But if you're looking to, kind of see the evolution of this kind of living, breathing time capsule that we've created, I think you have opportunity to go as far as a decade on our Chardonnay, and that's going to obviously, the wine would be dramatically different than what you'd have right now, but with the style of wine that we're making, it would definitely stand up to that amount of time.
Yeah, I would actually concur, and I found this out when I've been with Parallel for about 2 years now, and the previous vintage of Chardonnay, we sold out before the next release, and I looked back in the inventory, and we had about a dozen cases of 2012 Chardonnay, so this would have been about a year ago, so think like early 2019, I'm looking at a 2012 Chardonnay, and I thought, there's no way that this has stood the test of time. And it was absolutely delicious. I was blown away. I brought it right into the tasting room and sold out of it just like that. I mean, it had developed, the color had turned more golden and the body got a little bit bigger, but it never developed any like buttery characteristics or over oaked. It just got a little bit fuller. It was absolutely delicious. And so it took me no time to sell out of those. And so I even sold out of it before I got, it gave me like a month or two, and then I still was like, pre-sold out before I could get to the next vintage. So, so there at least 7 years. So you're right on it. At least 7 years.
How about for a Cabernet?
Yeah, for the Cabernet, of course. Well, Philippe's, this Parallel Cabernet is the first Cabernet that Parallel made. We added the Reserve Cab later. So we have this vintage back to 2003. And I actually had some of it with the owners back in December when I was in Park City, and absolutely delicious. This particular Cabernet, super bright now. I don't know if you've got a little like Asian spice kind of black pepperiness in the back, which just really develops over time. And then you really do get, once you get back into like the first 5 vintages, it really gets, has that really old world nose to it, kind of a little funky when you first open it, and like beautiful. Just blows off, and you just have this beautiful fruit that develops over time. That's, to me, which is a lot of fun, because you're opening it up and you taste it, and then 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, and it's just completely evolving, and the fruit is developing, and it's really, really a lot of fun. So I would say at least, I mean, what is that? 14 vintages, 15 years at least. A reserve cab certainly longer. That's more like 20 years if you can wait that long. I do have some very diligent wine club members that, you know, they save their 6 or 12 bottles every year, and they're building these like crazy, you know, 10-year verticals. And so for a lot of people, just can't wait that long and tend to just drink it.
I know I don't have that kind of patience. So, I mean, anybody who does, please invite me over when you open those wines.
I know, when we're doing those. All right, well, we're just about getting to 2:30, but Kristen had a question about favorite food pairing. I definitely have a favorite food pairing with this Cabernet, but what about you for the Chardonnay, Andrew?
Oh, man. So recently we've actually been doing a phenomenal kind of wine and food pairing series in our emails. So anybody who's interested in—
Oh, yes, all your great recipes.
Yeah, and so I tried out a chicken recipe that was recommended by our general manager, David, the other night, and it's kind of just a lemon chicken recipe, and we had some lemon thyme at the house that we used outside, roasted in a cast iron pan in an oven, and that was phenomenal with the Sam Giacomo Chardonnay. I mean, obviously, chicken is a versatile dish on its own, but I think the wine itself really kind of uplifts anything that you pair with it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thyme, lemon, beautiful. Yeah, those are flavors that you're tasting in the Chardonnay. They'll fall through with the chicken. For this Cabernet, I actually do at Brasswood a lunch pairing, which has 4 wines with 4 half portions of menu items from the Brasswood menu, which we make our wine due to hospitality, that I was mentioning earlier. So with this Cabernet, it is very food friendly. I travel for Parallel, and I go all over the country and work with chefs to do wine dinners. So I've done everything from chicken and meats, but the thing that I love to do this with pasta, just because you have that, you know, beautiful explosive red fruit, but you do have some spiciness and black pepper in the back, little clove. So at Brasswood, they make their own fresh pasta. I don't know if you had this dish yet, Andrew, their herb-infused pappardelle pasta that they make, where they, which is phenomenal in and of itself, but then they cook down beef short ribs in Cabernet and Mirepoix, and then a little bit of mushrooms. So you get like all these earthy flavors and the tomatoes, but it's still a little bit light because you're, you know, just with a pasta dish. It's absolutely phenomenal. I love to serve this one with pasta for sure. But
short ribs and Cabernet Sauvignon are.
I know. It's like I used to do, you know, so many lunch pairings that after days I was like, I can't eat any more of this, but I long for it now. Like, oh, to do anything to get that pappardelle pasta. I can't wait till we're back open.
I know. When Brasswood opens back up, I think that's the first thing that like we'll have to go do is get them.
I know. Yeah, we'll get together with Chardonnay and Cab and eat through the whole menu. All right, so we are
invited too. You're all invited.
Yeah, you're all invited. Yeah, please, you're all invited. We'll have a lunch for 15. So we are at 2:30. Don't want to keep you all overtime. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to take these live tastings. I've been doing them every Sunday. I'm going to take a couple Sundays off. Next Sunday is actually my birthday. And then the Sunday after that is Mother's Day. So I'll be taking a few weeks off if you want to keep following. But I've been doing these. I've been doing some private online tastings and a number of other online experiences, which you can find at parallelwines.com with the Meet Us Online link. And then, Andrew, is there things that you all are doing virtually now that you want to kind of give a plug to before we sign off?
So we are hosting virtual tastings for our wine club members on new releases, and also hosting virtual tastings for anyone who's interested in participating in them with us. We do have a few new releases that we just rolled out that are available online on our website. As we mentioned, the Sangiacomo Chardonnay here is a brand new release for us, as well as our new spring releases that included red blend that kind of celebrated 21 years of Westwood's history, all from our estate. And for the Rhone varietals that we produce at Westwood, the Syrah, Mourvedre, Grenache, I know that the Melka team, and it's something that we're very proud of, they've called our Rhone varietals the heart of our estate. So if you're interested in trying something different outside of Cabernet Sauvignon, we have them available online on our website. And if you have any questions about what we have available online, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Andrew.
Yeah.
At Westwood.
I will, when I send this follow-up email with the offer that I talked about, I will include your email signature block so that everybody has your contact information as well.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you for being a guest this week.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I look forward to seeing you in person. Everybody.
Hopefully it's
Cheers.
soon. Cheers.
Have a great afternoon. Bye.